In the vast and mysterious world of Greek mythology, where gods, heroes, and monsters clash in epic tales, few creatures are as fearsome and awe-inspiring as the Chimera. A terrifying beast with the body of a lion, the head of a goat rising from its back, and a serpent for a tail, the Chimera was a symbol of chaos and destruction. This monstrous being struck fear into the hearts of mortals and gods alike, becoming one of the most famous creatures in ancient myths. In this story, we delve into the origins of the Chimera, the terror it unleashed upon the world, and the legendary hero who dared to confront it. The birth of the Chimera is a tale that begins with the union of two of the most formidable and fearsome creatures in Greek mythology, Typhon and Echidna. Typhon, a monstrous giant with 100 serpent heads, each spewing fire, was considered the most powerful and terrifying of all the creatures that opposed the Olympian gods. His wife, Echidna, was no less formidable. Often described as half woman, half serpent, Echidna was known as the mother of monsters, for she gave birth to some of the most notorious beasts in Greek myth, including Cerberus, the Hydra, and of course, the Chimera. The Chimera was born into a world already fraught with chaos and terror. From the moment of its birth, it was clear that this was no ordinary creature. The Chimera possessed the body and head of a lion, symbolizing its strength and ferocity. But it was no mere lion. Rising from its back was a second head, that of a goat, representing stubbornness and an insatiable hunger for destruction. To complete its terrifying appearance, the Chimera's tail was that of a serpent, which could strike with deadly precision, spreading venom wherever it went. This combination of traits made the Chimera not just a physical threat, but a symbol of untamed chaos, a creature that defied the natural order. The myths surrounding the birth of the Chimera often speak of ominous portents that accompanied its arrival. It is said that the earth trembled and the sky darkened when the Chimera took its first breath. In some versions of the tale, the gods themselves foresaw the havoc this creature would wreak upon the world, and yet bound by the ancient laws of fate, they could do nothing to prevent its existence. The Chimera was destined to live, and its destiny was to bring fear and destruction wherever it roamed. As the Chimera grew, so did its power. It was not merely a creature of brute strength. It was imbued with a kind of primal magic that made it nearly invincible. The lion's head could roar with such force that it shattered the very air, while the goat's head could spew flames, setting ablaze anything in its path. The serpent tail, ever vigilant, could strike with lightning speed, ensuring that no enemy could approach without facing its deadly bite. With these abilities, the Chimera became a force of nature, an embodiment of chaos and destruction that could not be reasoned with or tamed. The Chimera's reign of terror began in the ancient region of Lycia, a land that was once peaceful and prosperous. Situated in what is now modern-day Turkey, Lycia was a place of fertile fields, thriving towns, and a people who lived in harmony with their gods. But all of this changed when the Chimera descended upon them. Emerging from the mountains like a storm, the Chimera laid waste to everything in its path. Fields that once provided bountiful harvests were scorched to barren ash by the creature's fiery breath. Towns and villages full of life and laughter were reduced to smoldering ruins, their inhabitants either fleeing in terror or perishing in the flames. The people of Lycia were gripped by a terror unlike anything they had ever known. They had heard tales of monsters and gods, but nothing could have prepared them for the living nightmare in May that was the Chimera. In desperation, they turned to their priests and seers, seeking guidance from the gods. Sacrifices were made, prayers were offered, but the gods remained silent. The Chimera was a creature born of divine chaos, and it seemed that even the gods could not, or would not, intervene. As the Chimera's rampage continued, the once prosperous region of Lycia was transformed into a desolate wasteland. Crops failed, rivers dried up, and the sky was perpetually filled with the smoke of burning towns. The people despaired, their hope dwindling with each passing day. Some fled to distant lands, hoping to escape the creature's wrath, while others barricaded themselves in the ruins of their homes, praying for a miracle. The Chimera had become a symbol of unstoppable destruction, a force that could not be reasoned with or appeased. It was in this darkest hour that the hero Bellerophon appeared. A prince of Corinth, Bellerophon was known for his strength, courage, and intelligence. But like many heroes in Greek mythology, his life was marked by tragedy and exile. After accidentally killing his brother, Bellerophon was forced to flee his homeland, seeking refuge in the court of King Proetus of Tiryns. It was there that his journey to confront the Chimera began, though it was not a path he chose willingly. Bellerophon's troubles began when he caught the eye of King Proetus's wife, Stheneboia, who fell in love with the handsome hero. When Bellerophon rejected her advances, Stheneboia accused him of attempting to seduce her. Furious and unable to directly punish his guest, Proetus sent Bellerophon to his father-in-law, King Iobates of Lycia, with a sealed letter. Unbeknownst to Bellerophon, the letter contained a message requesting Iobates to kill the bearer of the letter, for Proetus could not do so himself due to the laws of hospitality. Upon receiving the letter, Iobates faced a dilemma. Killing a guest, even one delivered under such circumstances, was a grave offense. So instead, he decided to send Bellerophon on an impossible mission to defeat the Chimera. Iobates believed that this task would surely result in the hero's death, solving his problem without directly violating the sacred laws. Bellerophon, however, was not a man to be easily deterred. Though he knew the dangers he faced, he accepted the challenge with a determination that surprised even himself. Before setting out, Bellerophon sought the advice of the wise seer Polyidus, who advised him to seek the help of the gods. Bellerophon prayed to the goddess Athena, who appeared to him in a dream and presented him with a golden bridle. Athena instructed him to tame the winged horse Pegasus, who alone could give him the speed and agility needed to confront the Chimera. The next day, Bellerophon journeyed to the spring of Perine, where Pegasus often came to drink. Using the golden bridle, he was able to tame the magnificent creature, earning its trust. With Pegasus as his steed, Bellerophon felt a surge of confidence. He knew that this was no ordinary horse. Pegasus was a divine being, born of the blood of the Gorgon Medusa, and its wings could carry him above the reach of the Chimera's deadly attacks. As Bellerophon flew towards Lycia, the landscape below him bore the scars of the Chimera's wrath. He saw villages reduced to ashes, fields blackened and lifeless, and the once thriving land of Lycia now desolate and empty. The sight filled him with a steely resolve. He knew that defeating the Chimera was not just about his own survival. It was about saving the people of Lycia from a fate worse than death. When Bellerophon finally faced the Chimera, it was a battle unlike any other. The creature, sensing the hero's approach, let out a roar that shook the mountains. Its lion's head snapped at Pegasus as they circled overhead, while the goat's head spewed fire into the sky, trying to scorch the hero from above. The serpent tail lashed out, attempting to strike the horse from below. Bellerophon, however, remained calm and focused. He knew that the key to victory lay not in brute strength, but in strategy and precision. Bellerophon used the height and speed of Pegasus to stay out of reach of the Chimera's deadly attacks. As they circled the beast, he noticed that the creature's goat head, which was spewing flames, was also its most vulnerable spot. With a well-aimed thrust of his spear, Bellerophon drove the weapon into the Chimera's fiery throat. The beast let out a final earth-shattering roar before collapsing to the ground, its flames extinguished forever. The people of Lycia, who had watched the battle from a distance, erupted in cheers as the Chimera fell. Bellerophon had done what they believed was impossible. He had slain the monster that had terrorized them for so long. In that moment, Bellerophon became more than just a hero. He became a legend. The battle between Bellerophon and the Chimera was a clash of epic proportions, a confrontation between a mortal hero and a creature born of the darkest depths of chaos. As Bellerophon soared above the charred landscape of Lycia on the back of Pegasus, the sun glinting off his polished armor, he knew that this would be the ultimate test of his courage, skill, and ingenuity. The Chimera was not just any monster. It was a creature of legend, a beast that defied the natural order, combining the most dangerous attributes of multiple animals into a single terrifying form. The Chimera awaited Bellerophon in a desolate valley, a place that had once been fertile and green, but was now a scorched wasteland, a testament to the creature's destructive power. The ground was littered with the remnants of its previous victims, charred bones, blackened earth, and the twisted remains of what had once been thriving villages. The air was thick with the acrid smell of sulfur, and the sky above was darkened by the smoke that still rose from the Chimera's fiery breath. As Bellerophon approached, he could see the Chimera in all its fearsome glory. The lion's head, with its mane of fire, roared a challenge that echoed across the valley. The goat's head, rising from the creature's back, glared at the approaching hero with malevolent eyes, while the serpent tail hissed and writhed, ready to strike at any moment. The beast's body, a grotesque amalgamation of lion and goat, was massive, its muscles rippling with power, its claws digging into the earth with every step. Bellerophon knew that a direct confrontation with the Chimera would be suicidal. The creature was far too powerful, its breath too fiery, its claws too sharp, for any ordinary attack to succeed. Instead, he relied on the agility and speed of Pegasus, circling the beast from above, studying its movements, looking for any sign of weakness. Pegasus, with its wings outstretched, danced through the air with effortless grace, easily evading the fiery blasts that the Chimera hurled skyward. The Chimera, frustrated by its inability to reach its airborne adversary, grew more enraged with every passing moment. The lion's head roared in fury, unleashing torrents of flame that scorched the sky, while the goat's head let out a bleating cry that was both eerie and unsettling. The serpent tail lashed out wildly, striking at the air in a vain attempt to bring down the flying horse, but Bellerophon remained calm, his mind focused on the task at hand. He knew that the key to defeating the Chimera lay in outsmarting it, in finding a way to strike at its most vulnerable point. As Bellerophon continued to circle the Chimera, he noticed something peculiar about the beast's behavior. While the lion's head and serpent tail were aggressive and constantly on the attack, the goat's head seemed almost passive by comparison, reacting only when the other two heads were threatened. Bellerophon realized that the goat's head, which was responsible for the creature's fiery breath, might be the Chimera's Achilles' heel. If he could somehow neutralize the goat's head, he could weaken the creature significantly, making it easier to defeat. With this in mind, Bellerophon devised a daring plan. He would use the height advantage of Pegasus to dive down and strike at the goat's head, delivering a fatal blow before the Chimera could react. But to do this, he would need to approach the beast at just the right angle, avoiding the lion's flames and the serpent's venomous bite. It was a risky move, one that required precise timing and nerves of steel. But Bellerophon knew that it was his best chance of victory. Gathering his courage, Bellerophon guided Pegasus into a steep dive, aiming directly at the Chimera's goat head. The creature, sensing the impending attack, let out a deafening roar, its three heads snapping in different directions as it tried to track the hero's movements. Flames erupted from the lion's mouth, scorching the air around Bellerophon, but Pegasus, with a burst of speed, darted through the inferno, its wings singed but unscathed. As Bellerophon closed in on the Chimera, he drew his spear, the tip gleaming in the dim light. With a final burst of speed, he plunged the spear deep into the goat's throat, piercing its fiery core. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The goat's head let out a strangled cry as flames sputtered and died in its throat. The Chimera staggered, its body convulsing as the life force that had driven its fiery breath began to fade. But the battle was not over yet. The Chimera, though gravely wounded, was still a formidable opponent. The lion's head, now driven to madness by the pain, roared with renewed fury, flames flickering weakly from its mouth. The serpent tail, sensing its master's vulnerability, lashed out with terrifying speed, aiming to strike Bellerophon from the sky. But the hero, ever vigilant, was ready. As the serpent lunged, Bellerophon twisted in his saddle, slicing through the serpent's neck with a single powerful stroke of his sword. The headless serpent thrashed violently before finally collapsing to the ground, its body twitching in its death throes. With the serpent tail defeated and the goat's head silenced, the Chimera was left with only the lion's head to defend itself. But the creature was now severely weakened, its once mighty flames reduced to flickering embers. Bellerophon knew that the time had come to deliver the final blow. He circled above the Chimera one last time, then descended swiftly, driving his sword deep into the lion's heart. The Chimera let out one final pitiful roar before collapsing to the ground, its massive body finally still. The death of the Chimera marked the end of its reign of terror over Lycia. As the creature lay defeated, its once fearsome form now lifeless, the valley that had been its lair was silent, save for the sound of the wind rustling through the scorched trees. Bellerophon dismounted from Pegasus, standing over the fallen beast, his heart pounding with the realization of what he had accomplished. He had defeated a creature that had been deemed invincible, a monster born of chaos and destruction, and in doing so, he had saved countless lives. The people of Lycia, who had watched the battle from a safe distance, were overwhelmed with relief and joy. They rushed to the valley, surrounding Bellerophon with cries of gratitude and praise. They hailed him as a savior, a hero whose courage and skill had delivered them from the brink of annihilation. Bellerophon, ever humble, accepted their thanks with grace, though in his heart he knew that the victory had come at a great cost. The Chimera was defeated, but the land of Lycia bore the scars of its rampage, and it would take many years for the region to recover. In the aftermath of the Chimera's defeat, Bellerophon returned to King Iobates, who had sent him on the perilous mission in the hopes that he would never return. But now, seeing the hero before him, alive and victorious, Iobates was filled with awe and respect. He realized that Bellerophon was not just any mortal. He was favored by the gods, a hero destined for greatness. Iobates welcomed Bellerophon with open arms, treating him as an honored guest, and even offering him the hand of his daughter in marriage. Bellerophon's victory over the Chimera secured his place in the annals of Greek mythology, but it also marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one that was fraught with both triumph and tragedy. Though he had slain the Chimera, Bellerophon's story did not end there. He continued to perform great deeds, defeating other monsters and earning the admiration of all who knew him. However, like many heroes of Greek myth, Bellerophon's success eventually led to his downfall. The legacy of the Chimera and its defeat by Bellerophon is a complex one. On the one hand, the Chimera became a symbol of chaos and destruction, a reminder of the dangers that lurk in the dark corners of the world. The creature's terrifying form, with its multiple heads and fearsome powers, represented the unpredictability of life and the ever-present threat of disaster. For the people of Lycia, the Chimera was a nightmare made flesh, a beast that embodied their deepest fears. On the other hand, the story of Bellerophon's victory over the Chimera is a testament to the power of courage, intelligence, and perseverance. Bellerophon, through his skill and determination, was able to overcome an enemy that seemed insurmountable. His defeat of the Chimera was not just a physical triumph, but a moral one as well. It showed that even in the face of overwhelming odds, a hero could prevail through a combination of bravery and cunning. Yet the story of Bellerophon also serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of hubris. Flush with his success, Bellerophon began to believe that he was invincible, that he could achieve anything, even challenge the gods themselves. This arrogance eventually led to his downfall as the gods, angered by his pride, sent him on a mission that ended in tragedy. Bellerophon's fate serves as a reminder that even the greatest heroes are still subject to the whims of fate and the gods. The Chimera's legacy also extends beyond its role in Greek mythology. The creature has become a symbol in various cultures and contexts, representing the concept of something that is composed of diverse and often incompatible elements. In biology, the term chimera has been adopted to describe organisms that contain cells or tissues from different genetic origins. This concept, inspired by the mythological creature, illustrates how the idea of the chimera has transcended its origins in Greek myth to influence modern science and language. In this context, a chimera can be an organism, such as a plant or animal, that has developed from the fusion of two different zygotes, resulting in a single individual with mixed genetic traits. This biological phenomenon mirrors the mythical chimera's amalgamation of various animal parts into one fearsome being. In a broader cultural sense, the term chimera has come to represent any fantastical idea, dream, or pursuit that is ultimately unattainable or illusory. Just as the chimera was a creature of myth, a chimera in contemporary language can refer to something that is imaginative and unreal, a goal that might appear grand, but is, in reality, impossible to achieve. This usage highlights the enduring impact of the Chimera's myth on the collective human consciousness, where it serves as a symbol of both creativity and caution. Moreover, the image of the Chimera has permeated art, literature, and even psychology. In art, the Chimera often appears as a representation of hybridization and the blending of different forms, a theme that resonates with the creature's mythological origins. In literature, the Chimera is frequently invoked as a metaphor for something monstrous and unnatural, a reminder of the dangers that come from disrupting the natural order. In psychology, the Chimera can be seen as a metaphor for the human condition, representing the internal conflicts and contradictory impulses that reside within each individual. Just as the Chimera is a combination of different animals, each with its own distinct nature, humans are often a mix of different desires, fears, and emotions. The Chimera, in this sense, embodies the struggle to reconcile these conflicting aspects of the self, a struggle that is central to the human experience. As the story of Bellerophon and the Chimera has been told and retold over the centuries, it has continued to evolve, taking on new meanings and interpretations. In some versions of the myth, the Chimera is seen not just as a destructive force, but as a test or challenge, a necessary obstacle that Bellerophon must overcome to prove his worth as a hero. This interpretation emphasizes the idea that the Chimera, like many of the monsters in Greek mythology, serves a symbolic role, representing the trials that heroes must face to achieve greatness. The myth also serves as a reflection on the relationship between humanity and the divine. Bellerophon's eventual downfall, which follows his triumph over the Chimera, underscores the tension between human ambition and the limits imposed by the gods. In Greek mythology, heroes who overstep their bounds, who seek to challenge the gods or achieve more than what is deemed appropriate for mortals, are often punished for their hubris. Bellerophon's fate, after his victory over the Chimera, is a poignant reminder that even the greatest of heroes must recognize and respect the boundaries set by the divine. In modern times, the story of the Chimera and Bellerophon continues to inspire and resonate with audiences. It has been adapted into various forms of media, including literature, film, and video games, where it often serves as a symbol of the ultimate challenge or a formidable adversary that must be overcome. The Chimera's image as a hybrid creature has also inspired various interpretations in science fiction and fantasy, where the concept of combining different species or creating new forms of life echoes the mythological creature's composite nature. The Chimera's legacy is also evident in the way it has influenced contemporary discussions about ethics, particularly in the fields of biotechnology and genetic engineering. The idea of creating chimeric organisms, or beings that combine the genetic material of different species, raises profound ethical questions about the nature of life, the boundaries of scientific experimentation, and the potential consequences of tampering with the natural world. In this context, the Chimera serves as a potent symbol of both the possibilities and the dangers of scientific progress, reminding us of the need for caution and humility in the face of our own creations. Ultimately, the story of the Chimera and Bellerophon is more than just a myth about a hero and a monster. It is a narrative that explores fundamental themes of order and chaos, the limits of human ambition, and the complex relationship between humanity and the divine. It is a story that has been passed down through generations, each retelling adding new layers of meaning and interpretation. And as long as there are challenges to be faced, fears to be conquered, and boundaries to be tested, the legacy of the Chimera will continue to endure, reminding us of the power of myth to shape our understanding of the world and our place within it.